Before Trayvon Martin, Mike Brown, or Sandra Bland, there was Oscar Grant. The current movement against police terror and for accountability and justice can trace its first iterations to this moment, when Oscar Grant was killed by a Bay Area rapid transit police officer on January 1st, 2009. Captured on numerous digital devices, Oscar's death would be the first murder prosecution of an on-duty Bay Area police officer. Before that would occur, however, Oscar would be murdered in the media and in the court system. It was a triple murder. No doubt, the murders of Oscar Grant tells this story.
Text Spicy at it again. Greetings, good afternoon, good evening to y'all on the Eastern time zone. My name is Tandasiswe Shimaringa, and this is a Sunday edition of Root Work under the rubric of African spiritual warfare. Got a lot to say today, a whole lot. And before I get started, I want to do some housekeeping real quick. Please like, share, and subscribe. Like the video now in case you get pissed off later on. So I don't want you to give me a thumbs down. Share the link, share the video, especially if you're coming in later, not while it's live, but watching later. I think you're going to like some of the things that you hear. So make sure that you share it. Subscribe to the channel, subscribe to Black Liberation Media, and subscribe to Root Work on the personal Root Work channel. And when you subscribe to both of them, either of them, make sure you hit the notification bell so that you will know when particular shows are coming on, okay? Like, share, subscribe, hit the notification button, and also understand, especially if this is your first time here, Black Liberation Media is an independent, radical media project. We're at 52,000 subscribers, and we appreciate each and every one of you. We ask that you not only subscribe, but if possible, can you hook us up with funds? Because again, this is an independent project. We don't take Democratic Party money. We don't take Republican money. We don't take commercials, right? We ask that you go to the Patreon and become a subscriber, a sustainer, or sustain us here via YouTube so that we will continue to bring you the knowledge, the information, the analysis that you're not going to get anyplace else. I used to do this for Pacifica Radio all the time. Pitch, 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 pitch. Pacifica Radio, although it gave me my start in radio, and I am appreciative for some of the experiences I had there, it ain't Black owned. This is us. This is Black folks. We own this particular channel, and I mean that in terms of it is a cooperative. All of those of us who host shows, produce shows, we all own this together. It's on a platform that's not owned by us, YouTube, but we own and control Black Liberation Media. So show us some love when you get the chance, please. And speaking of love, got to send a special shout out to that's a shame, I forget his name. Is it Mac Cubbin or Mac Clubbin? I'm gonna get your name right, bro, I promise, because the brother has always been very, very supportive of Root Work. So I greatly appreciate that. I see y'all checking in the chat. Hello, hello, hello to everyone. This might take a minute, so I don't know if I'm gonna be able to say hello to everybody. I don't know if I'm gonna get to say hello to everybody. Howsoever, if you've got questions or questions, I will attempt to answer your questions in the chat. If you've got comments, I will share them here on screen. So that was the housekeeping part of the channel that I needed to go through. So again, my name is Tandasiswe Shimaringa. You're watching, probably listening also, to my show called Root Work. What do you mean sorry? I'm still getting used to you hosting. Jared's probably not going to be here on a Sunday. Zinzi Bell says, smash that like button. Is this a Christian topic channel? No. And if that's what you was looking for, you need to get up out of here right now. Right now. As in right now. Okay. The topic of today's show is Ogun, Shango, and sinners. That's what I'm going to be talking about today. Ogun and Shango are deities in the African traditional spiritual system or religious system of the Yoruba people and the Ifa tradition. So no, this is not a Christian. This ain't a Christian channel. It ain't a Christian discussion. I ain't no Christian. Stop laughing, Zen. And yeah. All right. So now, conversations centered on the sinners' characters of Smoke and Stack, right? Michael B. Jordan's characters, Smoke and Stack. Many of the conversations centered around those characters not only talk about his performance, but they talk about the concept of the Ibeji, known as twins in the Yoruba tradition. Today's show is going to be looking at those characters from another aspect of the Yoruba tradition, and that's as personifications or representations of aspects of the Orishas or deities Ogun and Shango. So I keep looking over here because y'all keep commenting. I'm gonna have to leave that alone because all right. So again, we're going to be looking at aspects of the representation of Ogun and Shango, Yoruba deities or Orishas, as seen in the film Sinners, with the characters of Michael B. Jordan's portrayal of Smoke and Stack, twin brothers in the Mississippi Delta. Now, I did my housekeeping stuff in the beginning. Now I got to do some disclaimers. This slot here on Black Liberation Media, African Spiritual Warfare, it was held by a previous collective that is no longer a part of this channel. But I have interests other than journalism and politics in the area of African traditional spirituality. So when I do a show like that, I try to do it on this time slot on a Sunday, not only in homage to that space, but because Sunday is the predominant religious day, right? So that's what I want to talk about on this day. And African spiritual warfare, the concept is utilizing our spiritual traditions, systems, and powers to aid us in our struggle against oppression and our struggle for liberation. And we're specifically talking about Black folks here in the United States of America. Yes, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities. There's spiritual warfare, but there is also the need to utilize your spiritual technology in the tangible material fight against oppression, against imperialism, against capitalism, against patriarchy. So that's part of the reason why I'm doing this during this time period. If you saw the advertisement for this, it talked about New Afrikan Vodun. What is New Afrikan Vodun? I'm going to read you something that was written by a brother, an elder who is no stranger to the Black Liberation Media channel. His name is Dr. Akinyele Umoja, and he wrote this over 20 years ago. Dr. Akinyele Umoja is the one who introduced me to Baba Medahochi Zanu, who is what we call the founder of New Afrikan Vodun. Now, I'm throwing this out here in terms of ideas and concepts and giving you background information. I'm not trying to recruit nobody. Again, we're talking about knowledge and information. The concept of Vodun or voodoo, is thousands of years old, born from the ancient peoples of West Africa. It is the consolidation of the deities of various clans and villages of West Africa that form a comprehensive theological and spiritual system. The same phenomenon also occurred in Ayiti or Haiti. New Afrikan Vodun seeks to develop a common system for new Africans, that's Black people in the United States who were enslaved within the United States and their descendants. New Afrikan Vodun seeks to develop a common system for new Africans in the United States, inclusive of the deities and rites of our ancestors throughout West Afrika, rather than retribalize Africans who came to North America through the MAAFA, also known as the transatlantic slave trade. MAAFA meaning the great calamity or great trauma. New Afrikan Vodun seeks to develop a diversified unity of new African people, new African or Black folks here in the U.S. Now, y'all have to excuse and forgive me. It's March, and I said back in January I was going to have my stuff together and wouldn't have this glare on the screen. I ain't got it together yet. But okay, all right, fine. I'm going to do what I can. So, today's show is similar to the show that I did last year called EFA for Activists. You can look that up here on the channel, Black Liberation Media. And similar to the show I did this past January, talking about the concept of the Jawtaw in centers. The Jawtaw is that ancestral sponsor, ancestral guardian angel that all of us have according to West African beliefs. This is a show dealing with African traditional spiritual systems and spiritual reality. This is not a conversation, more than likely, that materialist thinkers may be interested in. This is dealing with a spiritual reality, that which most often is not visible to the naked eye, but it is visible. It can be visible. Perceptible might be the good word. Perceptible through other senses, not necessarily the naked eye, but perceptible through other senses sometimes. So if you continue, and I'm talking about continue watching, if you consider yourself to be an atheist or someone who doesn't believe that the spiritual reality is just as legitimate and holds just as much weight as the physical reality, if you are constantly in need of physical proof for evidence, this ain't going to be the show for you. Thank you for tuning in, but you might want to tune on out right about now. We ain't going to be mad at you. I ain't going to be mad at you. But I'm just saying, I ain't going to hold you. On that same note, if you are a long-time initiate, a long-time working, practicing priest of this tradition, you may find yourself in disagreement in some of the things that I'm going to say here. But hopefully you won't be offended by anything that I have to say. I'm going to apologize now if you are offended. However, be that as it may, I'm sure you'll also get over it. You're going to be all right. It won't be the first time you're offended. So, having said that, Ogun, Shango, and sinners. What are Ogun and Shango? They are Orishas. They are deities. They are angels or spirit beings. They are energies. In some instances, they've been given human attributes by human beings. In some instances, they actually were human beings. There's a saying that human beings become Orisha. Orisha being the Yoruba word Ori, meaning head or seat of consciousness, Sha meaning to select. Orisha. It is said in the Yoruba Ifa tradition that as souls in heaven, we kneel at the foot of the Creator and choose our destiny. And then we come down here to earth. Actually, we kneel at the foot of the Creator in heaven and we kind of negotiate. We agree on what the soul is going to do when it gets to heaven. That agreement is the destiny, and then we come on down here. As we come through the birth canal, we forget our destiny. We forget that agreement or that pact, and our journey now in life down here on earth is to remember what it is we said we was going to do when we got here. As part of that destiny, we choose or ask for the assistance of some of the primordial energies of the universe, or Orisha. Depending upon your tradition, Ifa or the Lukumi Santeria tradition, which comes out of Cuba, primarily in Cuba, priests will tell you, oh, you have an Orisha that rules your head, or your mother Orisha, or your father Orisha. That's either that primordial energy that rules who you are as a being, or it's that deity that you have asked for assistance or has come forward and say, I will assist this person in finding their destiny on earth. Orishas like Ogun, Shango, Yemanja, Oshun, Obatala, Eshu, Oya, Oshosi, etc. There's a saying, Bogbo Wanishe. Bogbo Wanishe. We all have a destiny. I don't know what your destiny is. You don't know what my destiny is. Only the Creator knows what your destiny is. And two witnesses, Orunmila, the deity of divination and wisdom and good character, also known as the witness of fate, and Eshu. Eshu really wasn't supposed to be there. He was hiding in the corner. But the Creator, she decided to let him stay. She ain't say nothing about it. So the Creator, Eshu, Orunmila, they are the only other people who know what your destiny is. I don't know what yours is. You don't know what mine is. Likewise, your relationship with a deity is exactly that. It is your relationship. So I can't tell you, hey, don't talk to Shango like that. You being disrespectful. I don't know what you and Shango got going on. I don't know what you and Oshun got going on. Oshun may be the deity that has seen your whole lineage from time immemorial, through hard times, through good times. I really ain't got nothing to say about how you relate to Oshun. And you ain't got nothing to say. Well, you ain't supposed to have nothing to say. We say stuff all the time, right? But you ain't supposed to have nothing to say about how me and Ogun get down. That's not your business, all right? How I view and speak to these deities is how I view and speak to these deities. Now, of course, if you're looking for advice, you take that advice, you weigh it, and you see what happens. But you don't just take one person's advice. You do what? You research, you ask around, and you do some readings. And speaking of readings, real quick, before I keep saying before I go any further, where it at? I want to give you just a couple. This is a book called The Handbook of Yoruba Religious Concepts by Baba Ifa Karade, which is a good, don't be offended when I say this. Don't be offended. A good beginner book, okay? It's a good beginner book. But like all books, it's good to refer back to it. This is another good Black Gods, Orisha Studies in the New World. This is by a brother by the name of John Mason. John Mason is a long-time Babalawo Ifa practitioner in the New York area. One of his first books. And these drawings here are representations of the Orishas, right? And one more book that I would recommend as a good beginner book. Yes, I would recommend it. The Way of the Orisha by Philip John Neimark, prefaced by Dr. Afolabi Epega. Should I go into this? Philip John Neimark is a white guy. Okay, I said it. The other two books are brothers, written by brothers. This is written by a white guy. But see, here's the thing. We, meaning folks like me, have grown up here in the West. So a Westerner, usually Westerners who look at our tradition, it's been from an anthropological standpoint. It's been from Western chauvinism. Philip John Newart is an initiate of Ifa. So he's talking about this from his experience actually being a practitioner, not as an anthropologist looking in and seeing what he's seeing and judging it. Also not as an anthropologist looking in and being told whatever the people tell him for whatever particular reason, right? I'm just putting it out there. It's not the only book, like I said. Way of the Orisha, Philip John Newart. Black Gods, Orisha Studies in the New World by John Mason. And the Handbook of Yoruba Religious Concepts. Okay. So these are some good books to kind of start you on getting an understanding of this energy. Now, primordial energy. This is energy that has been around from the beginning of time. The energy that was present when the universe was made. Dare I say, energy that aided in the creation of the universe, right? Ogun. Ogun is one of those energies that has been here from the beginning of time. What's the word? Anthropomorphosize, is that it? Anthropomorphosize? When we give human attributes to things that are not quote unquote human or don't appear in human form, like energy. We tend to give these human attributes based upon who we are, what our culture is, what we're used to, what we look like. And so again, like we said, some of these energies have been here from the beginning, like Ogun. Some of these energies, such as Shango, Shango was an actual person. He was a king in Oyo in Nigeria. And after he died, his spirit ascended to heaven and the people deified him and made him an Orisha. You know how in the Catholic tradition, when people die and people decide to canonize them and make them saints? Yeah, same thing. Just about the same thing. Okay. Now, smoke and stack in centers. I'm going to, all of this has been, prefatory remarks. I'm going to make another prefatory remark and get into it. So, in West Afrika, by the way, Shango, that Orisha, is said to be the father of twins. Statistically speaking, numerically speaking, you will find more twins, if not in Nigeria proper, on the continent of Africa than any place else. Shango is said to be the father of twins because he actually fathered twins and they are sacred to him. So we not only have the concept of the Ibeji are Shango's children. In West Africa in particular, and I know it's true with the Akan, I believe it's true with the Yoruba also, the Akan are of Ghana. The oldest twin is not the first one out the womb. The oldest twin is the one who comes out second. Here in the West, we say that the oldest twin is the first baby out the womb, or the oldest triplet or whomever. Basically, the first one out the womb is said to be the oldest here in this society that we live in. But in Africa, it is said that the older twin says to the younger one, go outside and see if it's safe. So the younger one goes outside. And if the younger one don't come back, the older one's like, well, I guess it's cool. And they come on out the womb. So then, in theory, Stack would be the oldest, if we're going by that theory. But I know it's a movie. I know these are fictional characters. Just work with me. Stack is said to be the younger twin, and Smoke is said to be the oldest, actually. What I need to do while I'm talking about these folk. I got all these graphics and forgetting to use them. That don't make no sense. Do it. Okay, there we go. So Smoke is the blue one. Is he on y'all's left? Smoke is the blue one. This is Stack over here with the red tie. So Smoke is said to be the oldest one, and Stack is said to be younger. And I don't know how white folks and other people raise their kids, but when you are said to be the older child, you are groomed. Because you are the oldest, you have to be more responsible. You are the protector. You got to do X, Y, and Z. So I can imagine that this is how Smoke has been groomed. And if you are the younger, you pretty much get away with every damn thing. And I'm saying that as the youngest child of 3. But at any rate, as the oldest, Smoke looks out for his little brother, protects him. That's probably how he was groomed from the beginning. And that's what we hear reinforced throughout the movie. Now, y'all know YouTube will not let me be great. So I can't be showing you clips from the movie because they like to shut stuff down around here. YouTube is a hater, be that as it may. So for those of you who've already seen the film, just rely on your imagination, close your eyes and think back to those particular scenes. Smoke is always looking out for his little brother and protecting him. He's been groomed to be that way. Now, when we first meet them, right, they're standing up against the car. They're at the old sawmill waiting on hogwood to show up. Smoke does not look happy. He's shaking his head, looking at his watch like, where this dude at? Stack, on the other hand, as he's fixing the cigarette for his brother, he appears to be kind of carefree, not as concerned or as upset as Smoke. He's also looking at Smoke, checking him out like, damn, my boy is over here about to go off, about to pop off, etc. Smoke represents Ogun. Let me go back to my preparatory remarks. This is my interpretation. This is my perception. Okay. For me, Smoke represents the energy of Ogun, and Stack represents the energy of Shango. Now, again, Ogun is that ancient energy present at creation. It is primordial. In the West, or in the US, we're told that his colors, Ogun's colors, all these deities, they have particular likes and dislikes or taboos. They have foods that are sacred to them. They have symbols that are sacred to them. They have colors that are sacred to them. Ogun's color, we are told, is green and black, but it's also blue. Blue is also known as a color for Ogun in Nigeria and in a few other cultures. Sometimes it's red too because of the blood. I'll talk about that later. But at any rate, because of the blue. Ogun's energy, Ogun is the soldier. He is the warrior. I'm going to say this word. I've already apologized if you're offended. I'm going to just get it out here. Ogun is the killer. Ogun is the executioner. And I use that word executioner in some societies, medieval societies, for example, the executioner will have a black hood on. I don't know why they got the hood. Everybody know who it is. But the point being, if a society has set that up, somebody has to do that work. Who is it going to be? The gardener, the farmer, the mother? Somebody has to take on that work. That is the energy of Ogun. The executioner or the killer, the soldier or the warrior. Ogun's I'm going to come back to this, soldier, warrior, etc. Ogun's energy is fearless. And I distinguish between being brave and being fearless. Fearless is exactly what it says, no fear. Bravery, on the other hand, is action in spite of the fear. I don't want to do this, but I got to go ahead on and do it. There's a hesitancy. You don't really want to do it, or you may actually be afraid, but it's something that has to be done and you move through it and you do it. That's different from having no fear, not giving a damn. That's that Ogun energy. My favorite scene in Sinners is not the end where Smoke is mowing down the Klan. That's what we call a crowd pleaser. You can never go wrong with a black man mowing down a bunch of racist crackers. But my favorite scene, other than the juke scene, is in when Hogwood finally gets there and he's, disrespecting the brothers. And he says, I thought you boys were serious. And Smoke says to him, ain't no boys here, right? Stack tries to intervene by saying, what does Smoke say? Ain't no boys here, just grown men. Stack says, with grown men money. And then Smoke says, with grown men bullets. He reaches into his coat pocket. He doesn't pull out the gun, but that's a sign to let you know he got a piece. And he's looking Hogwood in the eye and he steps to him. Now we're talking about 1932 Mississippi, where reckless eyeballing is a thing. Looking a white man in the eye. You're looking a white man in the eye and you telling him you got a piece, and you step to him, letting him know, if you want to try me, we can do that. And as Smoke is doing that, we see Stack reach for his knife and come around the white boy from behind in 1932 Mississippi. Now, this is a Hollywood representation, but we all have someone in our family. If you haven't sat down with the elders in your family yet, you need to do that, and you need to have your phone on record or get an old school tape recorder and ask them to tell you about times in the South. If you black in the U.S., you got somebody that came from the South. I'm going to return to that later also. The point being, that's one of my favorite scenes. He is not afraid to let you know what he's going to do, all right? Smoke appears to be very stoic and very mean and about that business. No fun, no messing around. It's all about the business, right? So after this scene with Hogwood, the brothers pick up Sammy. They go to the truck where they've hidden their loot. There's a rattlesnake in the back of the truck. It's Smoke that kills the rattlesnake. Stack has the knife. He could have easily killed him, but he throws the knife over to Smoke, who dispatches the snake. Why? Because Smoke is a killer. That's why. When it comes to the scene in town, and you got the two thieves of the folks who trying to jack his truck, he shoots them. The twins have this reputation. And it's not a reputation based on talk. It's a reputation based on doing. And as we see in that particular scene, he shoots them both. One of them, because he was actually in the back of the truck trying to take stuff. The other one, because he was with him. What did he say? Can't have some fool talking about how he almost robbed the twins and ain't got nothing to show for it. You got to let folk know. Isn't that what Stack told Smoke before they went into town? Smoke says, we've been gone a long time. Stack said, 7 years ain't long enough to forget us. You probably should have said to forget you, but at any rate. Now, we go throughout the movie. They've been turned. The Remick Nim has shown up at the juke, and they've turned people out. It is Smoke who shoots Cornbread in the face when he attempts to grab him and pull him out, right? We also know at the end, it is Smoke who ends up killing Remick. And then, of course, there's the scene where he mows down all of the Klansmen. Even when before Remick and the other two turn people, when they show up at the door, it is Smoke who's almost ready to bust shots in them. What does Remick say? That won't be necessary, sir. Because Smoke is like, I done told y'all you not coming in. And isn't that what he reiterates to Cornbread? Don't let them in. Speaking with that voice of authority, not playing around. When after Sammy does his performance, Smoke is trying to explain to him, you don't need to be a part of this life. And Sammy says, well, kill me now. And he pulls out his gun, said, you just gave me an order. I'm not playing with you. Even though he doesn't kill Sammy. But later on in the movie, when they're dealing with the garlic and Pearline doesn't want to eat the garlic, once again, Smoke pull out that gun. Sammy got an issue because, he done had a little taste of that thing. He's like, put the gun away. And at some point, he tries to physically stop Smoke. Smoke pops him in the mouth. Boy, don't be questioning me. I'm trying to keep you safe. Smoke is not the energy to be played with. And for many of us here in the Orisha or Yoruba or Ifa tradition in the U.S., that is how Ogun energy has been presented to us, for the majority of us, I believe, as this no-nonsense warrior, soldier, killer, not playing. I know, however, from my study of the Yoruba and from my personal experience, that Ogun has a side of him that is a loving nurturer and protector. We don't always see that. That's not always promoted. Why not? Patriarchy could be the reason why. And as you know, patriarchy gave birth to the ugly son of homophobia, right? The idea of men being gentle and nurturing and soft, those two don't go together. But in one of the things that our African traditions teach us is about balance, maintaining a balance. And so, as I said, there's a loving, nurturing, protector side of Ogun that we're not always shown. Now, when they're in the bush, getting ready to go into town, it's Smoke who says to Sammy, this fool don't know how to watch his own back. Watch his back for him. Always being protective, right? Ogun energy is a very good complement with Yemanja. Whoa. Y'all got to excuse me. I'm trying to get it together. I promise you I am. I'm trying to get it together. If I had a producer, somebody to help. No, I'm just playing. Yemanja, known as the mother of humankind, the mother of fishes. She's called the mother of fishes because her children are as numerous as the fish in the sea. Yeye omo eja, eja meaning fish, yeye mother, omo children, meaning humanity, the one who gave birth. She holds particular reverence and resonance for folks such as New Africans because Yemanja is said to be the one that carried us over the Atlantic, that kept us in her womb as we made that horrific trek over the Atlantic into the quote unquote New World. Not just here, but in Brazil. In Brazil, they do a festival to Yemanja every year. So Yemanja is the mama. She's a nurturer. She's a protector. And also, just like Annie, you don't really want to mess with Yemanja. Like when Smoke had Annie's money and she pulled out that straight razor, Yemanja will cut you and then feel bad about cutting you. Some people cut you and don't give a damn. Yemanja will cut you. She'll feel bad about it, but she'll cut you, right? Also, as a side note, as I said, Yemanja is said to be the mother whose children are as numerous as the fish of the sea. When Cinders first came out, people saw Annie's character and like, who is that? Is that his mama? No, that's his love interest. How you think Yemanja got all them babies? She wasn't adopting them. It wasn't somebody else giving birth to them. She was getting it in. So y'all need to check your fat phobia, all right? But at any rate, Yemanja is also the nurturing protector. She's the mother. Ogun is the father, the Baba, right? So now, And this is the anthropomorphized view, meaning giving them human form. These Orishas being married to each other, being complements, it's also about character and principles, right? We don't think of Yemanja as a warrior. We think of her as the nurturer and protector. We don't think of Ogun as a loving, nurturing protector. We just think of him as a bloodthirsty killer. These two principles are married to one another. When one needs to be on the scene or at the surface, that's when it comes up, right? Okay. Remember when Annie said she worked every root she knew to keep Smoke and Stack safe? That's that protector in her, protecting someone she loves. Don't mess with somebody that Yemanja loves. Please don't. Pretty please don't do that. It's not going to end well for you. But now, going back to Smoke being an aspect of Ogun that is a loving, protective nurturer. The twins go and pick up Sammy from the church. And as they're driving along, I started to say, Ogun says, Smoke asks Sammy, how's everything going? Your daddy ain't putting his hands on you, is he? Sammy says, no. Smoke asks about the other children. He said, no, not really. Mama's the one that give out the whoopings. And Smoke says, okay, that's good. That's good. What is his name? Jedediah, Uncle Jedediah, Uncle Jed always was good. So going back to Stack, I think I told you I was going to return to this, right? I know it's 5:45. I appreciate y'all hanging with me. Anyway, what we're able to gather from the dialogue in the film, some of us are able to put it together. I'm not talking about later interviews. What we are able to gather from the film, these two twins, as I said, Stack is coming out last. Stack gets stuck in his mother's womb or in the birth canal. The midwife has to do whatever they did at that time to get him out. And she ends up caring for the twins. Why? Because their mother is dead. We surmise that the mother died in childbirth. And we also surmise, or maybe, I can't speak for, I surmise that Smoke and Stack's father resents Stack because of that. My wife is dead because of you. And so he takes his anger out on Stack. As Stack and Sammy are driving, well, Stack says something about beating, and he would beat mostly me. He didn't mean it. I don't know what he meant by that comment, but he said mostly me. He would beat mostly me. And Smoke, once again the killer, ends up killing the father. The father has knocked Stack unconscious. Stack says, when I came to, Smoke was halfway done burying the body. Smoke has a trigger, going back to asking Sammy about his father putting his hands on him. That's a trigger for Smoke. If you saw the film LA Confidential, if you haven't seen it, you should see it. But anyway, Russell Crowe plays a police officer in this film. The character that Russell Crowe portrays, when he was a child, his father tied him to a radiator, beat his mother to death in front of him. Russell Crowe becomes a police officer. We don't know if it's because he's trying to actually find his father, but whenever he gets a call about a man abusing a woman, Russell Crowe shows up to the scene and does his thing and then arrests the perpetrator. That is Russell Crowe's trigger. Obviously, this is a trigger for Smoke, putting your hands on children. Again, loving, nurturing protector. People have talked about the scene where Smoke is in town negotiating with the Chows, but before he gets there, he sees the little black girl. He teaches her principles of negotiating. He offers to pay her tells her that she needs to negotiate for the better price, and hands her a stopwatch. I'll pay you 20 cents for every second on this stopwatch. So that's held up as an example of how he is with children. But don't forget, when he goes back into the store and is talking with Bo Chow, Bo wants to know what happened in Chicago. Did y'all hit it big? He says to him. And before Smoke answers him, he looks back at Lisa, Bo's daughter, to see if she's listening in to the conversation. And of course, she does like this. I'm not listening to nothing you grown people are saying. He wasn't about to tell Bo what went down within Lisa's earshot. That's protecting her from something she don't need to be exposed to. That's another example of the protector, right? I already talked about the fact that he was trying to protect Sammy when he smacked him in the mouth during the garlic scene. The killing of the father, another example of the protector protecting his brother from further harm. And of course, at the end, he makes Stack promise not to hurt or turn Sammy. Because remember, Smoke is on top of Stack with that wooden stake. He could kill him right then and there. And he says, I'm sorry I couldn't protect you. Stack is like, don't be sorry, you always did protect me. And we don't see it, but we're told at the end that Smoke made him promise not to turn Sammy, not to go after Sammy. Now, again, going back to the loving, nurturing protector, his relationship with Annie, we see how hurt and heartbroken Smoke is over the loss of this baby. It has broken his heart. What does he say to Annie? It hurts coming back here, but I love you and I miss you. Not just because of that. It doesn't hurt because it's her. This is our baby. What does he say when he comes to the grave? Papa's here. I want to play something for y'all real quick. Now, again, I said, okay, I'm switching around. I hope y'all can keep up with this. I'm switching around real quick. Okay, now I'm going to come back to that. So I remember specifically in The Way of the Orisha, Philip Neimark's book, when he talks about the Orisha Ogun, he says, Ogun can get fuzzy-headed when it comes to women, right? This big old soldier, killer, warrior, what have you, Smoke, when it comes to Annie, that's his weakness. When Annie say do something, he do it, right? Remember at the very end, first of all, he kept the mojo bag that Annie gave him all this time. He gives it to her to refresh for him, and he puts it back on him, right? So he's kept it all this time. Oh, shucks. You're not going to let me? Y'all just won't let me be great. Y'all just won't let me be great. Y'all will not let me be great. All right, fine. So I had a clip of that scene at the end where Annie has appeared after he's mowed down all of the Klansmen. For whatever reason, now it's not allowing me to show it. He mows down the Klansmen. He's already been shot, so he's dying. He took off the mojo bag. He got shot. He's dying. Annie appears to him holding their baby. And she says to him, I'll let you hold her if you put that cigarette out. Wouldn't want any of that smoke to get on her. And what does he do? Damn near without hesitation, he puts that cigarette out. And he holds that baby as he's transitioning, as he's dying. He's met up with his loves in the spirit realm. And he holds that baby. And if I am not mistaken, if we are not mistaken, That is the only time during this movie that we see Smoke smile. This warrior, bloodthirsty, that's what people say Ogun is, killer, who ain't had no qualms about killing people or shooting people. Gentle, loving, nurturing, protective energy. Now, here's a tangent I want to go on real quick. Maybe, well, that was not YouTube. That was StreamYard wouldn't let me be great. StreamYard would, oh, is it? There. Yeah. Okay. Hold on. Now I can play it. Hold on real quick. Let's do this.
Elijah. You put that cig out, you can hold her. I don't want any of that smoke to get on her.
It cuts off, so yeah, it cuts off. So we're not able to see the smile on his face. Hold on. I wanted to go on a tangent real quick, and now I'm not seeing the tangent. Hold on, wait a minute. Hold on, y'all. Wait a minute. Give me. Oh, my bad. There you go. Here we go. So, 10 years ago, I was introduced to a man by the name of C.T. Fletcher. C.T. Fletcher is a world champion bodybuilder. Live, breathe, eat, sleep, lifting weights. He has a gym, a series of gyms. I think it's a franchise, I'm not sure. But anyway, it's called Iron Addicts. So you can imagine a world champion weightlifter, and he's an iron addict. That lets you know this man lives, breathes, sleeps, eats, lifting weights. Ogun's realm is iron. Iron is his realm, right? So this is an obvious modern day example of Ogun energy, this weightlifter. Just by accident, it was either last week or the week before, I came across this video on Instagram. And I thought it would be perfect to share with you all on this subject. CT, like I said, he's a world well-known bodybuilder, iron addict. His lifestyle, or what he was eating, even though he was a bodybuilder, he really wasn't into fitness. He had a heart attack, and it was said that he died 3 times on the operating table. His story is on YouTube. I forget the name of it, but it came out, I think, in 2015. In 2016, I was put on to CT Fletcher as an example of Ogun energy. Just last week, I find this video, it comes across my Instagram feed, and I thought this is an example of what I mean by Ogun as a loving, nurturing protector. Now, he's talking about the Epstein files. Please don't fill up the comments, the chat with Epstein. This ain't about Epstein. All right, but I'm going to show you this. Hopefully, I'm going to show you this real quick. Hopefully. I'm going to show you this real quick. And because you need to see this. Share screen. All right. Hopefully that's big enough for you to see. For whatever reason, it's not allowing me to what do you call it? Go in reverse. Let's see if I can reverse it. We'll see. But anyway, I'm
always fade.
Yeah, I hate when that happens. All right, hold on. Shucks. All right, y'all, hold on a second. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. Told you it's text spicy. All right, that might work. That might do it. Here we go. All right, check this out. This is C.T. Fletcher again.
They got C.T. Fletcher in rare form over here. Well, like I always say, before anything else, I don't consider myself an influencer or any of that. But before anything else, number one, I am a father. Number two, I am a grandfather. I'm even a great grandfather. Old as hell yeah. Kids, your kids, my kids, any kids, they always gonna be number one as far as I'm concerned. I will kill you about my kids, kill you dead about my kids, and I kill you dead about his kid, Matt's kid. If I see a kid in trouble, I kill you about that because they are innocent. I had a fucked up childhood, so I know how it is, and it was nothing compared to what these children. Somebody got to stand the up for these kids, and goddamn it, I don't care if I lose every last one of you followers. I'm gonna do it.
So CT was talking about the fact that these children, it's a problem for him. That's a trigger for him. And he was losing followers because you know how the followers get. Once you are in a particular niche and you start venturing into something else, they're like, oh, I just want to hear about the bodybuilding. I just want to hear about this. He's like, I don't give a damn I'm going to talk about these kids. That's a trigger for him. That's the warrior protector side of Ogun coming out in C.T. Fletcher. That's a modern day example of Ogun energy. What's another modern day example of how Ogun manifests itself? I know you know about this dude, right? Not Terry Crews. I'm not talking about Terry Crews. I know you've heard about John Henry. What have you heard about John Henry, right? He's the steel driving man, right? I know you heard about that. Have you heard about this? Have you watched P-Valley? Have you seen P-Valley on Stars about the strip club in the South? There's this brother on P-Valley, fine brother. Whoo, that man look good. I think his name is Tyler Lepley. His character is named Diamond. He is the bouncer at the club. He is it an Iraq war veteran, I do believe? He's a war veteran, soldier. Now he's a bouncer at the club. And in this particular episode, Tyler is a two-headed man. He a hoodoo man. He a root worker. He's dealing with chakra energy right here with one of the dancers. So he's healing her. Ogun in Yoruba mythology or Yoruba lore, that energy of Ogun, he is a hunter. So he spends time in the forest. You got to know the plants and the herbs, especially if you're going to be out, because you're going to be out there. You might be out there for a while waiting on a particular prey. And if you run out of food or didn't bring food, you're going to need to eat something. Which berries, which herbs, which plants do I eat? And which do I stay away from that's going to kill me? If I got a cut or if the animal I'm tracking happens to attack me and I'm not quick enough, how do I heal these bites or these wounds? You got to know which plants. So Ogun knows that type, has that type of information. So this is a modern day example of Ogun energy. This is Diamond, the bouncer from P-Valley. Of course, I know you know that damn near anything this brother be in. Michael J. White, right? Damn near anything he in is going to be Ogun, right? Martial artist. But what about this guy? You know, let's see. No, not him. This guy. When I talk about modern day examples of this energy, Now, again, I'm just using these as examples. So don't start getting carried away over there in the chat. I don't want what happened with Desiree was jacked up. Robin was jacked up. Okay, fine. But I'm just saying, pigeons in many of our traditions are messengers, right? They're used also as they're used as messengers in the spirit world, as well as, you know, carrier pigeons, homing pigeons, etc. So in the spirit world, pigeons are used as messengers, changing energy, spiritual energy, sending spiritual energy, etc. This guy right here, Mike Tyson, that looks like a chain around him, but I think it's just the design in his shirt. Mike Tyson keeps pigeons. I think they calm his energy. He's kept pigeons for a while. When it comes to Mike Tyson and pigeons, he's very, very gentle. He's not ripping off their heads, you know, with his mouth and drinking the blood. He ain't doing none of that. You know, this guy who is known for pulverizing enemies. They called him what? Iron Mike Tyson, right? Very, very gentle when it comes to pigeons. Maybe not with women so much. Okay, I shouldn't have said that. My bad. I'm just messing with you, Mike. I'm just messing with you. But I'm just saying these are modern day examples, some modern day examples of Ogun energy. Now you saw C.T. Fletcher talking about what he's going to do if you mess with kids. When it comes to African tradition and white people have a very complicated history. I'm just going to put it like that. When it comes to imagery, I know we have to be careful. We have to be careful with our imagery. But because I watch movies, a lot of times these images are what comes to mind. So in the movie The Siege with Denzel Washington, Bruce Willis's character is a general in the United States Army. Now, even though this is a white man, I know he's a white man. I'm just saying, I think that that's a good representation of Ogun energy that we don't always talk about. He's a general in the United States Army, but when we first meet him in this film, he's wearing a suit and tie, civilian clothing. He's still a general, but he's in civilian clothing. And as time wears on in the film The Siege, at a certain point, people start talking about, we need the U.S. Army to patrol New York City. And even though now he's got on his uniform, he's sitting here at this meeting where these muckety-mucks are talking about deploying the U.S. Army, and he's still trying to be diplomatic. What does he say to them? I'm telling y'all, you do not want the U.S. Army patrolling the streets of an American city. You do not want it. I implore you not to make this decision. They make the decision. Bruce Willis is like, all right, you want it, you got it. And he proceeds to unleash a brutality upon the American populace of New York City, of the New York City populace, specifically those of quote unquote Middle Eastern or Muslim, the Middle Eastern or Muslim population in New York City, torturing and murdering, right? So this is an example from film of that type of energy. Ogun can be, and is a diplomat, in addition to a loving and nurturing protector, right? What are some other modern day examples that I can think of when it comes to Ogun? Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, Sons of Blood and Thunder. If you know, you know, right? So again, I just wanted to talk about those aspects of Ogun. And I have a quote that Babalao told me one time. Now, this quote refers to Oshun, but it's still the same principle. He says, when you want to go to war, you invoke Ogun. But when you come home from war, you invoke Oshun. That Ogun energy, the unleashing of the warrior, soldier, killer, executioner, there's a time and a place for that. Inside of the home is not the time or the place for that. Inside of the home, you need peace, you need calm, you need some joy, you need civilization. Oshun is considered to be the deity of civilization because why? Many civilizations arose on the banks of rivers. Oshun is a river deity, the deity of sweetness, of honey, and the erotic. Right? When you go to war, you invoke Ogun, but when you come home, you invoke Oshun. You could also invoke Yemanja, but the point being, that's a different side. And there's a time and a place for that particular energy of Ogun. And unfortunately, a lot of times when we are presented with our traditions from Africa in books or from individuals because they believe they're giving us something we're familiar with and can relate to, we get one side. We get that bloodthirsty energy of Ogun. And I have spent a lot of time on Ogun. Full transparency, I am an initiate through my lineage into the energy of Ogun. So that is why I spent more time on it. But the other reason is because, again, we don't always see that aspect of the loving, nurturing protector. And he exists. He is there. He's not just bloodthirsty. Now, in terms of stack, which I should have more information on, but I do not. Stack to me represents the energy of Shango. Shango's colors are red. He also comes after Ogun in the cosmology, right? Ogun said to be older, Stack said to be younger. Ogun is a primordial energy present since the beginning of creation. Shango doesn't come on the scene until, I can't give you the date, but he's the fourth king of Oyo. Again, I said he wears red. Now, Ogun is the owner of metals, knives, hatchets, axes, pickaxes, guns, chains, bars, handcuffs, etc. That is his realm. But just like everything else that has a realm, we can borrow from time to time. Shango is known as Abalube, the king who cuts with a knife. And we know that Stack has a gun because he gives it to Mary later on in the film. But when we first meet Stack, we see him with that knife with the handle in the form of brass knuckles. He is the one who provides the knife to Smoke to kill the snake. Abalube, the king who cuts with a knife. Remember, he was prepared to use it on hardwood. Okay. Stack's character in the film reminds me of Shango. Apologies now in case you get offended. There appears to be a naivete and a recklessness that Stack exhibits. He's fast moving and impatient. Shango energy can be fast moving and impatient. Smoke, on the other hand, is very patient because you have to be patient because you're a hunter. You are following prey. Smoke is the one that says, we've been put behind on our schedule by this crack of hardwood. We need to open next week. Stack says, no, fuck that. It's got to be tonight. And we know what happened, don't we? He insisted that the grand opening had to be that night. Stack's energy is almost kind of sort of carefree. He was supposed to remind Smoke about the cache of weapons, the trunk. He forgot to do it. A smooth talker. Always smiling. That's how we know he got the gold in his mouth. Not the gold front, but I guess whatever that is that's covering his tooth. Dare I say, well, no, not dare I say, he can prevaricate. Somebody told me that word one day. I was like, huh? They said lie. I was like, oh, well, why you didn't just say that? He can prevaricate. He can lie. Now, Shango, the Orisha Shango, hates liars. But if you are in this tradition, you know that some of Shango's children who are imbalanced, dare I say, can lie pretty well. It was a lie that Stack told Sammy that that guitar came from Charlie Gibson. It didn't. But at any rate, smooth talking, fast talking. That's how he gets Delta Slim to come along. That's how he gets Cornbread to come along. He can also be irreverent, right? He can also be irreverent in the way that he talked to Cornbread about his wife. But now what happens when he first pulls up and when he tells Cornbread about what they're doing? Cornbread says, "What? I ain't got time for your scheming." Cornbread know how Stack can do. When Smoke goes to see Annie, she asks, "Whose idea was it to open the juke joint? Your brother's?" So, remember at the scene at the door, the irreverence, right? At the door, when they're all at the door and Remick and the other vampires are seeking entry, and Smoke is like, whereas Stack is like, he kind of digging the music that they playing. Irreverent and carefree, right? He's also very, very flashy. He's a good complement with Oshun. And this is, what's the word? I'm not even sure what the word I'm looking for. But Shango in the lore, in the mythology, you talk to people in the tradition, Shango is known for sexual prowess. He is known for sexual prowess. And if you remember, Stack and Sammy are driving down the road, and as soon as it flashes to that scene, what are we doing here? Stack is telling Sammy how to please a woman via oral sex. Kawoye Kabiesi. I salute Shango. Now, again, as I was saying, I didn't have a lot of information on Shango, and I should have. But maybe you can answer in the chat. What's a modern day example of Shango? I told you his colors were red. Now, this doesn't necessarily have anything to do with it. However, his colors are red and white. We already talked about the energy of Ogun being reflected in Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. I went to Howard University, which is like the mother chapter of several of the Divine Nine. And if it's not the mother chapter, the campus on which they were founded, trust and believe they are well represented on campus. I remember Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated members as being or billing themselves as attractive, suave, and smooth brothers whose colors also happen to be red and white. I'm not sure what they call that dance move that they have. I don't know if it's called a shimmy or what, but y'all, if you know, you know the move that they make. So that sounds about right. That sounds like Shango. And what are the Kappas known as, or who would they like to be known as? Playboys. I rest my case. All right. So this is just modern day examples again of how this energy can show up. So I got 6:17 p.m. Mr. Arthritis is not knocking howsoever. This is pretty much the end of what I wanted to say regarding my perceptions of Smoke and Stack and the Orishas Ogun and Shango. And I really wanted to do it regarding Ogun because, again, I believe that Ogun's energy can be misunderstood, can be very lopsided, very one-sided, and that a loving and nurturing protector is absolutely, not just absolutely, a side of Ogun that exists, a side of Ogun that we need to see more often. And actually, where is it at? Got to check out my notes over here. Where is it? Oh, there it is. So you remember what I just showed you about C.T. Fletcher. He said before any of this nonsense, I'm a father, I'm a grandfather, and I'm a great-grandfather. Contrary to both popular belief and popular portrayals, it's very important that I say this, that there actually have been and currently are Black men who look forward to being fathers. Just like Ogun, that is not a side that we always hear about or see. The same thing with Black men. Just like C.T. Fletcher, and I know some of these brothers, it will not be nice. It will not be pretty. It will not be good if you mess with their children. It will not. Not quite sure how I can stress that any harder. It's not a good look. Leave the kids alone. Matter of fact, leave all children alone. And I'm not just talking about pedophilia. I'm talking about if you think you're going to correct somebody or put your hands or talk crazy to someone's child, just walk away. Just walk away. It's not going to end well for you. Yeah, so it's a lot of brothers. There actually are brothers out there who look forward to being fathers, who revel in fatherhood, and who do good jobs at being fathers. We're not always presented with that view of Black men. Just like this view of a Black man, of Smoke's character in the way that he was portrayed, we don't always get that. Just as Smoke mowing down the Klansmen, mowing down this, mowing down that, how tender he was with Annie, how gentle he was in looking out for that little Black girl who he taught to negotiate, and also wanting to protect Lisa Child from hearing whatever details, right? So now that I've done that, it is time. Lord have mercy, it says 113 comments. I don't know. There's no telling what y'all been doing over here in the comments. And obviously, some of y'all started commenting an hour and a half ago. I can't get to all of that. I'm going to do what I can, though. I'm fortunately a witness to those men. Absolutely. We know them. As a matter of fact, I was thinking the other day, we know them. We know these people exist. We've seen them. We don't need media to tell us they exist. However, it would be nice if media every now and then reflected our reality back to us. One of the things I was thinking about the other day, I rewatched, must have been last year. For the first time since it came on, I rewatched Snowfall. If you haven't seen Snowfall, and if you can stomach it, because I know some people like, nope, people from LA, nope, lived it, don't need to see it. I understand, actually. But if you can stomach Snowfall, which talks about how the crack epidemic started in South LA, there's a character on Snowfall by the name of Leon. And Leon is what I would call a tender thug. Make no mistake about it, Leon is a killer. Lee ain't got no, first of all, he's short. He's not even as tall as Damson Idris's character, but I'm not talking about a Napoleon complex. I'm just saying the brother, he's a killer and ain't got no qualms about killing. When Franklin first goes to county jail and gets beat up, that's Leon's dog. And Leon is Franklin Saint's dog. Franklin Saint is the character played by Damson Idris. Leon is like, look at this dude's face. Man, when you go back in there, we wail on somebody and you don't stop until they pull you off. He's telling Samson Idris's character what he has to do to stay alive in prison. But Leon is the killer. But in Snowfall, Leon almost reaches a breaking point. He's involved in a drive-by shooting, and it's Leon's bullets that accidentally kill a little girl. And you see it almost breaks him. He almost wants to leave that whole milieu, that whole realm of what he's dealing with. because he did not mean to hurt this child. We know people like this in our communities, dare I say, maybe even in our families, right? That side of Black men that we don't always see represented in our popular media. We saw it with Leon in Snowfall, right? Almost in Brother in Tears, right? Had to answer a phone call. It's knowledge, but it's also my perspective. Somebody else got another perspective. Where's the one? Here's a perspective. Kappas are too smooth to be Shango. Yeah, I don't let Shango deal with you in that comment. Shango is more fire and brimstone, an avenger and a supporter. Ogun is just blood, just blood. Yes, Shango represents thunder and lightning, or is represented by thunder and lightning, the owner of lightning and thunder. Whereas Ogun, again, metals, war. Is Shango a warrior? Absolutely. Does Shango go to war? Absolutely. Can he be a soldier? Absolutely. Does he perform well? Absolutely. But that is not his area or his realm. That is the area or realm of Ogun. Which is why, in the tradition, people who are in this tradition, they'll have an Ogun shrine. It's not good for Ogun to be placed in your house. You place Ogun outside of the house to stop folks from coming in, to protect that which is indoors. Ogun and Eshu. You don't want Ogun energy running amok in your household. And that might be one of the reasons why. I mean, other than white supremacy, imperialism, patriarchy, capitalism, in addition to all that might be why you got Ogun energy. You got Ogun inside of your house. Either, and I'm not just talking about a shrine, I'm talking about a personage of Ogun. My father was a cool dude, but I remember my father liked to smoke cigars, and he would sit at the back door or outside when he would smoke cigars. What did Andy say? I wanted that smoke to get on you. Now, I don't know if him and my mama, I don't know who said what or who. I just remember he would sit outside and smoke the cigar. And when he finished, he would come inside. Okay. And I've seen that before. Some things you want outside your house. Some things you want inside of the house. What you say, Zen? Damn, now I gotta go watch it again. Hey, Sinners, like many films, that's not the film that you just watch once in the theater and then go home and write some shit or make a broadcast. You got to sit with it, and then you got to go back. Wait a minute, did I see what I thought I saw? And then you got to go see it again. Let's see. Okay. All right. Ooh, the Juma Boutique. You got a lot to say. Okay. I don't even know I don't even know where to start with all your comments. Anyway, what else? Smoke is a guardian and defender. Yes. Now, here's the thing. In the end, one of the twins, a white. So here's the thing. Now, y'all remember, I said in the beginning, I'm apologizing now if you are offended, but you'll get over it. I also asked you to like the video now in case you hear something you don't like. And this is my perception. It ain't written in stone. Just like you don't know my destiny, I don't know your destiny. I don't care what somebody else say, and y'all shouldn't care what I say. I'm just going to say it, though. Mary was passing for white, and Mary can be seen as an aspect of Oshun. Ooh, I know y'all going to be mad. Ooh, I know y'all going to be mad. I know y'all going to be mad. But like I said, y'all gonna get over that. Y'all gonna get over that. Hold on, where is she at? Now this is one. Now certainly, Oshun represents sensuality, right? She represents sensuality. Certainly, Perline, and here she go crawling on that stage. Was that Pale Pale Moon? I don't know. Certainly, Perline represents sensuality. Absolutely. But these two also represent sensuality. And like I said, y'all gonna be mad. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. She had African ancestry. She was raised among Black folks. She passed. She said she didn't want to pass. She didn't want a husband. She didn't want a farm or a house or whatever. She just wanted to be with Stack because she was in love. It didn't help that he had sexual prowess. That only added to the problem. You know, when people talk about sensuality and the erotic and Oshun just want to be in love. Oshun love. I have the highest respect for Mommy Oshun, but her daughters would be in a better or better suited to speak about her. Like I said, I know some of them are going to be mad that I said that Mary was one of her children. You'll be okay. I'm sure you'll be all right. But at any rate, you're going to have to be all right. You're going to have to. But anyway. I'm trying to figure out why I've been led to Ogun, being attributed to Ogun, since I don't have a nurturing bone in your body. Nurturing is an aspect of Ogun. And as the children of these Orishas, you know, sometimes we will exhibit more characteristics than the other. I have a sister friend who she was telling me how she's a child of Oshun and Ogun. And she was saying how she didn't understand about the Ogun aspect, but she said because she is a seamstress. Remember, Ogun is metals. Ogun is machines, machinery and technology. She's like, oh yeah, okay. So he's not just, you know, the steel driving man. He's not just the warrior. He's not just the railroad worker, right? Machines. Seamstresses working them machines. The needles, the thimbles, the scissors, just like a surgeon having to be precise with those instruments. That's an area that Ogun, yeah, that's right. Hold on. And what do you be doing? You be knitting, right? What do you be knitting with? Knitting needles. Knitting needles. You be knitting with knitting needles. Somebody else's shit. Okay, Dejuma Boutique. I can't keep up with you. Is there anybody else who has something to say other than Dejuma Boutique? No, I'm just messing with you. I appreciate you being here and being in part of the discussion. Now, I'm trying to keep up. I'm trying to keep up with look at some of these comments. Where's let's see. Where is he? Smoke and stack. Okay, on this photo of Smoke and Stack, you see the red more pronounced in Stack's hat. It's not over here in the background. It almost comes off as a brown. But right here, you notice the red hat. He's got the red handkerchief. And yes, his tie is red. So I thought it was interesting that they even showed up in these colors in that representation. I don't know whose idea that was, but that was one of the first things that I noticed. Last one out. Time starts when you hit the air. But according to who? According to who? Like I said, in the Western tradition, the oldest twin is the last one. The oldest one is the first one out. So anyway, isn't the implication that they're lying about who's the eldest? No, I wasn't saying that they were lying. I wasn't saying that they were lying. Old Greece. I don't know if you want to claim that. Anthropocentrism. Well, I wouldn't say, no, that's not the word I was looking for. That's not the word I was looking for. But anyway. Is Ogun the single driver of creation? Now that I don't know. Zen, a little bird told me he once made a statement that Obatala was white. You're talking about, well, actually, it wasn't John Philip Neimark. It was in the book John Philip Neimark and Afalabi Epega wrote on the sacred Ifa oracle. And Afalabi Epega said, people are upset about white people in the tradition. Obatala was white. No, Obatala was not white. Obatala is represented as white. He is the king of the white cloth. Oba meaning king or ruler. Tala of the cloth, a ruler of the white cloth. Obatala represents purity, clear thinking, calmness, patience. So no, Obatala is not white, but white is one of his color. White is his color. White is his color, just as red and white, or red is the color of Shango. Blue or indigo blue is the color of Yemanja, which is the color that Annie was wearing. Also the color of Ogun, and green and black. Red and black, and red and white and black can be the colors of Eshu, I do believe. Okay. Yeah, I can't go that far back. It's really... Who said something about text spicy? Yeah, that's me. What about it? Text spicy. Shut up. What's up, text spicy? Shut up, Jamon. No, I'm just playing. How you doing? I don't know if Ogun is the calmest Orisha. I think Obatala might be the calmest Orisha. But now here's the thing. There's a creation story that talks about, okay, well here, Obatala was not always white cloth. In one Pataki, he was a conqueror. There's a path of Obatala called Ajagun, and where it is a warrior path. Usually Obatala Elekes are white. This one has a few red ones in there that symbolize the aspect of blood or the warrior path. There's a creation story that talks about how the Orishas came down to earth from heaven, and the earth was covered in thickets, very, very thick woods. Obatala tried to cut through the thickets, the branches, and because he had a silver cutlass, his cutlass bent. Obatala carries a cutlass. He has a warrior aspect, and he has a tool. His tool was not the right tool for that job. Ogun was able to clear the path, cut away the branches, the thicket, and create the path where human beings could be on the earth and move around and live. He had an iron cutlass. Ogun had the right tool and was the right person for that job. Obatala had a tool, but it was not the right tool for that particular job. You see Legba a lot in Cuba. You see a lot of the Orishas in places outside of Nigeria and Africa, like Brazil, like Cuba. Venezuela has an Ifa community. Orisha priests, what are they called? Babalosha, Ialoshas. Orisha priests, Brazil, again, Cuba, they're a lot more prevalent than Babalaos. We get a lot of Babalaos over here, but we don't always get a lot of celebrations of the Orishas. I know Atlanta has an Oshun festival that they have been doing for years. I'm not sure if they've got an Ogun one, but there are Ilays, there are groups in Atlanta that come together and celebrate a different Orisha each month. So they're doing the damn thing in Georgia, in Atlanta. New York and DC may have the same thing also, not really sure. We dry out here in Los Angeles, dry like the desert that we are. So hopefully that will change. All right. So thank you, Leah. Thank you, Zen, for coming through. Bernie, LCC. Don't know you, but glad that you showed up. Uh-oh, where'd it go? Baba Luaye and Olokun the Ocean. Remind me to tell y'all about my Olokun Yemanja story one day. Okay, I'll tell you now. Me and three other people, we went out to, what is the name? I think it's Will Rogers State Beach, which is on the way up the 101 on the way to Malibu. And we went out there with a priestess of Olokun in the Santeria tradition. An actual priestess, as in that is her deity, and she brought her shrine with her to get some ocean water. But here's the thing. I was told years ago that my female Orisha is Yemanja. My father Orisha is Shango. My lineage through my father is Ogun. So me, child of Yemanja, another friend of mine, a male child of Yemanja. We went out, we were standing on the beach, and, there were some people putting their toes in the water, and the water was, doing its thing. It was cool. This Olokun priestess started singing. And I can't swim, but I love water. I have always loved water since I was a child. Still don't know how to swim. I know how to float, though, because the key is to have no fear. Because why? Because water no get enemy. We'll come back to that later. I don't know how to swim, so I try to, even though I love water, like to be around the water, I'm not going to mess with the water because I can't swim. So I'm standing at the beach next to a fence, and this woman starts singing to the ocean, singing to Olokun. And when I tell you that the water started churning and started coming in, water that had been lapping at people's toes came up to my waist. And if I had not been holding on to that fence, there would be no root work and Tandasizwe Shimaringa today. The water came up to my chest, above my waist, below my breast. The other brother, the brother who was with us, he was out there with flip-flops on. The water came up. You know how the water come up and smack you? This was before it came up to my waist. This is as it's beginning. The water came up, smacked him, and took his shoes, one of his sandals, took it into the river. It is said that if you are a child of Yemanja, you have to be very careful around bodies of water, particularly the ocean, whether it's the Atlantic or the Pacific. First of all, you are her child. She's happy to see you. she might want to take you off with her. And if you are a child of Yemanja, do not go to the ocean when you are sad or hurt. Don't go in the ocean. Don't go to the shore when you are sad or hurt. Why? Because any mother that is worth their salt wants to comfort their child. You know how you want to kiss away their boo-boo? How you want to just take them in your arms and tell them it's okay? If you're not ready to go, you don't want Yemanja to grab you up, because she will do that. And like I said, we won't see or hear from you anymore. Now, it would be nice if you took her an offering, because if you don't, she might take her offering like she took Brother Man's shoe. He ended up giving her the other one shoe. He's like, what am I going to walk around with one flip-flop for? Gave her the shoe, right? Another time I was with one of my godmothers, we went down to San Pedro, and we went down to give our greetings to the water. And there was a white girl standing out there. And this white girl was just standing at the water, as it was coming in. She was just standing there staring at it. And we looked at her. The water would come in and she would scoop up some water with her hand. She started walking away like she was leaving. And then she came back. And then she walked away again. And then she came back. And then she walked away again. And then she came back. Finally, she left. It's something about the water, Yemanja, that will draw you. It's like mesmerizing to you. I remember we went out to the beach years ago in Black August, LA. We had a African beach day. We was out there with the red, black, and green flag. We was playing Fela, what have you. Now, again, reminder, I can't swim, but I love the water. I stayed on that beach. I couldn't move. I could not move. It's not so much, well, I guess it was mesmerizing. I just love being around the water. I can sit on the beach, and the hell with a job, the hell with any type of responsibility. Mind you, we ain't talking about surfing or swimming. I just like sitting on the beach with my mama, Yemanja. So what did I say earlier about people's relationships with these deities, right? If you find that you have a particular attraction in a particular area. We talked earlier this year in January about the Jawtaw in centers, right? That ancestral sponsor. Orishas play a part in that also. The Jawtaw is an ancestor, someone who was related to you. The Orisha, again, a select head, it has to do with consciousness. If I say that I want to go to Earth and convince people to follow me through the power, the ashe of the mouth, Shango may be the one to come forward and say, I will help you to achieve this destiny. If I say I want to go to Earth and protect women and children, empower them, Oshun might be the one who says, I will come forward and help this person achieve their destiny. Bonfires do that for you. Fire does that for you, or bonfires on the beach do that for you. Which one? Duly noted about keeping Ogun outside the house. Now, just because you keep him outside the house, don't mean that you neglect him. Like I have. I know, Baba, I owe you so much. You don't neglect him. You just keep him outside. Fires in general. That sounds like a Shango thing to me. So, it could be, we have people in our tradition who do what are called roots readings. Divination that not just tells you about the energy that's happening right now around you today, but will look into your lineage. That will tell you information about your lineage. Now, again, if you're a materialist and into tangible and rational, radical stuff, then everything I'm saying, just allow it to go on past your head. But for those of you who are into the spiritual reality, know that divination is a way that you can tap into your ancestry. And roots readings can talk about your lineage in a way that helps you understand, oh, Ogun has always been present in my family. I just didn't know what I was looking at. Like I said, I was told that Shango and Yemanja were my personal Orishas. I find out later in life that Ogun is part of my lineage. And it makes sense when I look at the men in my family, well, the women in my family who have all been seamstresses in some way, shape, form, or fashion. When I look at the men in my family, I see either my actual relatives or through marriage, I see the dentist who utilizes those tools in the mouth. I see a police chief. I see soldiers, actual soldiers, as in West Point, as in Vietnam, as in United States Air Force. I see carpenters and I see welders. It don't get much more obvious than a welder. I see gang members. All of these people are represented in my family. Like, oh, that's what that is. Okay. And then when I heard the part about the seamstresses having that aspect of Ogun, you mean my mama, who I couldn't go into the living room, was her sewing room. I couldn't step on the carpet barefoot because I'd always get a needle in my foot, who kept that, whatever that pie tin was with all of her needles and sewing stuff in it, who had material all over the house, who had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sewing machines. Oh, you mean her? Yeah, her. The creativity of an Oshun woman combined with that know-how and knowledge of those machines, a seamstress. Yes, you've had multiple divination, so you know what I'm talking about, don't you? Hey, Bernie LCC, giving up $10. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. My name on this channel, this show that you are watching, you see this up here in the corner? It's called Root Work. And on this particular Sunday, I'm broadcasting under the African Spiritual Warfare in their time slot. But usually I'm on Mondays at 4 p.m. And my name is Tandasizwe Shimarenga. You need to get, it'll help you. A roots reading will help you. Now, back in the day, since people have been a part of this tradition, they have either had divination, regular divination, or roots readings, or traveled to Africa as part of initiation into traditional spiritual systems, and they've been told things about their ancestry. But that's dealing with spiritual reality. Everybody don't do that. Everybody don't believe in that, right? Now, today, in the 21st century, you have ancestry DNA. You have people who take your DNA and can tell you, peace to you, Bernie, thank you for showing up, who can tell you more than likely where your ancestors come from on the African continent. And some of us knew that already because we had the divination, or we had those ancestors come to us in dreams, etc., or other information. Some of us may have done, genealogy, and may have been lucky to find actual bills of sale of our ancestors that show we was fresh off of a boat, that we could, a cargo manifest. Because the census, I think the census only goes back to 1880, because the 1870 census, all of the records were lost. So, yeah, we now have the quote unquote science to back up what some of us have already known in terms of spiritual technology. Where you from, who your peoples is. So, but if you want to get divination, roots reading, I can find that information out and add it to the show description later on. 6:53. What time did I start? 5 o'clock? Okay, yeah, it's going on 2 hours. You know what that means. It's about 2 hours when Mr. Arthritis started knocking on the door saying, let me in, let me in. I think I can hold them off for another 5 minutes. If there are any further comments or questions, folks got, again, I hope that you got something out of this. I hope that it has piqued your interest and will lead you to further study, right? For those who want to go down there, for those who want to get down, you know what I'm saying? So again, this was my interpretation of how Ogun and Shango are represented in the characters of Smoke and Stack in Sinners. Since we still talking about, some of us are still talking about Sinners. People are still saying, okay, you're going to put Sinners back in the theater? Okay, because I'm about to watch it on HBO, and I would rather go give the money to Ryan than the HBO. Folks are still talking about Sinners. Yea, seamstress and a designer, fashion is Ogun and Oshun. Doctors Ogun and Obatala, divination is Yunli Orumila. Yep. Yeah, complicated. We'll just leave it at that. All right, so appreciate y'all for coming through and hanging with a sister on this Sunday night. And for those of you who didn't catch it live, but you are running it back, I appreciate y'all for running it back. And please remember, like the video, share the video, subscribe to Black Liberation Media, subscribe to my personal channel, Rootwork. Subscribe, like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. And 6:55, I don't think I'm going to make it another 5 minutes. I'm going to go and get up out of here now. So yeah, appreciate everybody for coming through. Thank you oh so much. You all stay safe out there, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace.